All right, welcome everyone. Kinstretch Season 1, Episode 3. And today we're going to be playing around with a concept called Level 2 cars. So we know our controlled articular rotations, we do mainly freestanding, but today we're going to add a external block through different transition points to help weed out any of those compensations that you're having, that you're going through, to really see where the transition points are. For this, we're going to be using a high variety of props. With these props, you can start to use your imagination with this. The great thing about the way these videos are done is you can hit pause at any second and go grab any prop you need. Just some examples of some of the stuff that I'm going to be using. I've got a Kinstretch rocket right here. This is going to provide some proprioceptive feedback on different areas that I want to block. So this is kind of big and specific. Another one is going to be a little bit more point specific. So I found a bat, a kid bat that I'm going to use. Again, you can get as creative as possible once you understand the concept of what you're doing. And then third, I think I'm going to use some dumbbells just to help pull the shoulders down, especially when we get into upper body stuff. So we're going to start with the cervical spine, talking about where the transition points are and where the compensation comes in, so that we can really start to gain awareness of where those compensations are. Now, with these level 2 cars, as I've said before, Kinstretch is not a video game. We don't pass a level and fight a Kinstretch boss at the end. They are going to flow. So as long as I'm teaching you the concept behind a level 2 car, then you can take it and apply it to a level 1, see where you need to block to increase your ability to do a very well-rounded level 1 car. So we're going to get set up for the cervical spine and go from there. So, a cervical car, blocking in transition 1, which is here. Chin comes down to the chest, is transition 1. And looking in going from transition 5 into transition 6, which is extension. The compensation that we're looking out for is when we bring the chin down is this caving, and when we bring the head back is the lifting of the chest and the cage. So we're going to use the block and we're going to place it here so that I can't lift up, and if I go in, I'm going to drop the block. So we're going to come here, I'll place it down, and I'm just going to do a few reps here. Chin slowly comes down to the chest, looking over your left shoulder as far as you can, tilting the head back on that diagonal, looking straight up at the sky, looking over the right shoulder as far as you can. Right ear reaches down to the front side of the shoulder and back and around. I'll switch that, or reverse rather. Chin comes down to the chest, looking over that right shoulder as far as you can. Right ear reaches to the back side of the shoulder as the head drops back, looking directly up at the sky, looking over the left shoulder as far as you can. Left ear reaches down, back and around through the beginning. So again, this is stopping me from caving the chest. Now I'll reverse and put it up higher so that the chest doesn't lift as I go through this. So get it set, chin comes down, looking over that left shoulder, ear reaches back, looking directly up at the sky, looking over that right shoulder, chin comes down, back and around. Reverse that, chin comes down to the chest, looking over that right shoulder, ear reaches backside, head all the way back, looking back and around. Great. So a couple reps to block chest lifting and chest caving. Next, we are going to look at the next transition point, which is in rotation and lateral bend, to pull my shoulders down so that I can feel when they start hiking up. So I'm just going to let them hang. Chin comes down to the chest, looking over that left shoulder. Ear reaches to the back side, looking over that right shoulder. Chin comes back and around. Again, compensation is hiking of the shoulders, so I'm using the weights to pull me down. Chin comes down to the chest, looking over that right shoulder. Right ear reaches to the back side of the shoulder. Head drops back, over, and back to home base. Great. 2 easy ways to find and block those compensations. So if you find that you're going through this and you're hiking up, this is a great option. If you find that you're going this way, the block is another great option to have. We're going to jump to the scapula now. With the scapula, our block is going to be more of a proprioceptive feeling because when we go into extension, you'll feel that arm bend. So we want to make sure that we lock the elbow out when we're going into extension. So we'll go from position 1 and we will protract, lock that elbow out, elevate. Here's where the compensation comes. Lock that elbow, retract, and depress. We're going to protract, lock that elbow out, elevate, retract, and depress. I'll show you where the compensation would come in if I wasn't locking the elbow out. Protract, elevate, retract, and depress. So we really want to make sure that we have that elbow locked out for that scapula. That's going to give you true scapular retraction over there. We'll switch over to the left. Again, making sure you lock that elbow out as much as you can. So here, we'll protract, elevate, lock the elbow out, retract, and depress. Protract, elevate, retract, and depress. Show you what it looks like with the compensation. Protract, elevate, retract, depress. You can really see and feel once that compensation starts kicking in. So great way to block that for the scapula. We're going to jump to the glenohumeral joint. Okay, block for the glenohumeral joint is going to be on the contralateral shoulder, whichever you're working, the bat's going to go on that side. What we're looking for is the compensation coming from our flexion point rotating into pressing into extension, making sure that that shoulder doesn't come forward. So I'm going to take the shoulder and block it to make sure that there's no way I can rotate forward as I come through. So arm is going to come straight up. Once I get to that end point, I'm going to rotate. From here is where I want to see if I start pushing into the bat. Make sure there's no pressure into it as I start pushing back, push back, rotate, 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 reach back, reach back, reach back, and reverse. Reach up as much as you can. Push that scapula down, rotate up, 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 and over. I'll remove the block so you can see where the compensation would come in. Go up, up, up. Okay, you'll feel a lot of that. Once you feel any pressure into the bat, that's where you need to start compensating, making sure that you're not leading with that shoulder, getting pure movement from the, here I am, glenohumeral joint. So I'm going to block the opposite and take a ride on my left side. So making sure I'm putting no pressure into the bat. Arm comes up. Once I get to that end range, I'm going to start rotating the hand. Keep spinning, push back, push back, push back, push back, push back, and around. Rotate, 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 back and around. Go ahead and do it once with the compensation so you can see what it would look like. And over. So, again, placement of the bat right on that humeral head, right there and there. Great. Jumping into the T-spine next. All right, so thoracic car, T-spine is what we refer to. Compensation that is the biggest is rotation of the hips and pushing the pelvis back and forth. So for this quick, easy fix, take a seat, grab a heavy object, put it right across your hip bones so that they can't move. Pull it into you. From here, we'll flex the spine, rotate, lateral bend, extend, full extension, rotate, lateral bend, back into home base of flexion. Again, the motion might not be as big as it would if you were standing because you are taking out that compensation. So again, we're going to flex around the back, rotate, lateral bend, extend, full extension, rotate, lateral bend, pushing back into home base. Trying to find those transition points of where the hips want to lift and shift, when you want to feel those bones reaching forward. So that's where you're going to stop it. So you can plant the legs down and make sure that only the upper body is moving and flexing. So that's our thoracic car. We're going to jump on to lower body and moving towards the hips. Coming up. All right, so the hip. Along with the shoulder, you'll find the same types of compensations, just a little bit different. So with the hip, if If you can find I'm using the jam in the bathroom door, just as long as you have space, something to hold on and pull into. And you're gonna take another object and you're gonna place it right on that opposite hip as you pull yourself into it, because what we're looking to do is make sure that we don't compensate by shifting this hip over, okay? When we come around, we don't want this hip to follow, so we're gonna block it using an object to push into. You're gonna grab the door, pull yourself as close as you can to it, and then from here, you're gonna do your standing hip car. Good. Going up into position 1, which is flexion, transferring into position 2, which is abduction, internal rotation, pressing back into hip extension. See it without, show you the compensation. It's a bit exaggerated, but you do see stuff like this all the time. So again, place that object, grab tight onto a frame, pull yourself close, keeping pressure into that object the entire time. You're going to see how limited you are in internal rotation, because that's the most difficult. Coming from the other side, placing here, getting as close as I can to that door, pulling up, abduct, internally rotate, push into extension, up, abduct, internally rotate, back into hip extension. Again, weeding out those compensations. The more honest you can make your controlled articular rotations, the more you'll find where you need the most work. So now that we've gone through our cars and have explored new ways to do them, we're going to jump into a quick set of pails and rails for the shoulder using a stick. Again, it's a broomstick that I just unscrewed. You can get it anywhere. To get into the position, we are going to go into our quadrupedal position. From here, I'm going to slowly bring my arm up, making sure that I'm not rotating, because I just want pure flexion of the shoulder. Then I'm just going to drop my chest, and from here, I'm going to hold for 2 minutes. And if you're doing this along with me, I'm going to do it for exactly 2 minutes, so you'll know how long I have been here. From here, we're just going to breathe and let that stretch sensation start to occur. You'll feel it on the top of the shoulder. Just inhaling, exhaling, nice breath. No movement, or as little movement as possible. Trying to keep that elbow nice and locked out. Good. Almost there, about another minute here. When I say we're going to slowly start to create a contraction, pushing this stick into the ground, like we're trying to jab a hole through it, but we're going to start this contraction really, really slow, starting at about 10% contraction, and then slowly ramping up from there. Good, just finding your breath. You can get a little uncomfortable down here, but just fight through it. Here. About 20 seconds, we're going to start to push down into the floor. All right, slowly start creating that contraction, pushing down into the floor, 10%. Slowly ramp that up. 20. Take that up to 30%. 40. Keep pushing down, take it up to 50%. 60. Driving down into the floor. 70. 80. Drive down, strongest, safest contraction, pushing down into the floor, and hold up for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
2, slowly let go of the contraction. Open your hand and try to lift it higher onto the pole. High, 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 high. Grab and pull into that stretch again and hold that here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly come out of that.
If you wanted to repeat that a second time, I would go ahead and pause it or rewind it again for that next 2 minutes in that new position. We're going to move on to the other side now, and we'll get into position here really quickly. So find where that arm comes over, and then just drop down right there into position. And we are going to hold here for our 2 minutes. So with today's video, because it was a little bit different, explaining the concept of the controlled articular rotations in a blocked fashion, feel free to pause at any point and grab objects, explore different types of objects that you can use. You can get really creative with these. Again, these are going to make your level 1 cars so much better. And once you really start to get a sense of the controlled articular rotations, how they move, you're going to start finding little tiny things becoming easier and easier for you to do. They are massively important, and I can't tell you how important it is to do them every single day. So holding here, good. Got about another minute. Keep going, pressing down, not yet. Just finding that stretch sensation. Might start to get a little uncomfortable around this time. And here, we've got about 20 more seconds or so. Say we're going to slowly start pressing down into the floor with a small, almost imperceivable contraction, 10%, no more, no less. Slowly start pushing down into the floor, 10% contraction. Slowly ramp that up to 20%. Take it to 30 and hover at 30, no more, no less. 40%, 50, 60, 70. Your strongest, safest contraction, drive into the floor and hold up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let go of the contraction, open the hand, and see if you can lift higher on that pole. And pull yourself down into it for 4, 3, 2, and again. If you wanted to do another set right there, that's totally fine. We're going to jump into some hovers using a swimmer position. So we'll show you how to properly do that, and then look at what are called infinity hovers. Those are a lot of fun. So, all right, so swimmers. These are a lot of fun, and they can be torturous if done properly. You can do them in a number of different positions. You can lie down, do it in prone. You can do it kneeling. You can do it in a half combat base. You can do it in a squat. You can do them all sorts of different ways. Each one has a different level of pain, but a good way. So I'm going to run you through it. Hands will start on the small of the back, either left hand on top or right hand on top. You can do it both ways. Change it up mid-rep. So I'm going to lift off the small of my back, hinge at my elbows, keeping my thumbs down. I'm lifting up as far as I can. Once I can't lift anymore, I'll start to rotate the thumbs. Keep pushing back the entire time as the thumbs start to rotate up. Once they come to a 90-degree position, I'm going to start raising. Once I get to a Y, I'll freeze, I'll hinge, keeping the hands off the small of the back. Keep pulling back, elbows back, elbows back, elbows back, elbows back. Hands come on the head, elbows come forward. Now we're going to reverse that. Reaching back, 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 back. Lift off the head. Hinge at the elbow. Thumbs point to the ceiling. Keep pushing back, keep pushing back.
Keep pushing back as you come down to a T. Once you get to a T, rotate the thumbs down. Keep pushing back, keep pushing back, keep pushing back. Once it doesn't go anymore, start lowering. Freeze, hinge, keeping the hands off the small of the back. Reach back, reach back, reach back, reach back, reach back, reach back. Hands come down, elbows come forward. Great. So that is our bilateral swimmer. Now we're going to hop into what is called an infinity hover. So left hand starts down, right hand starts up. Same thing, we're just going opposite directions. So pull those elbows back, hand lifts off the head, hand lifts off the back, hinge at the elbows, push back, thumbs are going to switch places, keep pushing back, goes down, freeze right there, hinge, hand off the back of the head, hand off the small of the back, place the hand, elbows come forward. Reverse that, reach back, keep pulling back, hinge, keep pushing back the whole time. Thumbs are going to switch places. Keep pushing back. Freeze, hinge, hand off the head, hand off the back, reach, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, hand comes down, hand comes on the back and forward. So maybe 5 of those should get you feeling really smoked after that. You're going to feel a lot of tension up through the shoulders, which is great after the pails and rails that we did with the shoulder. A lot of information today. So if you have any questions or need an idea how to block any type of joint that you need, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know how you're feeling, how you're doing, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Season 1, Episode 4. Have a great day, guys.